August 21st, 1942. The Tenarue River, Guadalcanal. The air is heavy with the stench of salt marsh and rotting vegetation. Sweat stings the eyes of Private First Class William Billy Evans, his knuckles white as he grips the warm walnut stock of his M1 rifle. Around him, the 1st Marine Division is dug in along the Ilu River, a muddy ribbon of water they mistakenly call the Tenarue. They are 1,000 yards from the precious airstrip Henderson Field, and they can hear the jungle whispering. For days, the whispers have been growing louder. The Japanese soldiers of Colonel Kiyonao Ichiki's elite regiment are ghosts in the trees, masters of the silent advance. To Billy Evans, a boy from Ohio who'd never known humidity like this, the enemy is an unseen, terrifying presence. His own movements feel clumsy, loud. The simple act of chambering a round in his Garand, letting the bolt slam forward with a heavy clack, sounds like a thunderclap in the oppressive stillness. He'd heard the scuttlebutt from the old-timers, the ones who'd carried the Springfield 1903 in training. They'd called the Garand a noisy contraption. Unlike the slick, quiet precision of a bolt-action rifle, the M1 was a mechanical beast. Its operating rod cycled with a violent metallic clatter. Its ammunition came in a pre-loaded 8-round en bloc clip. Loading it wasn't a quiet slip of cartridges into a magazine. It was a forceful thumbing down of the whole clip until it latched with an audible click. To a soldier trying to be silent, the weapon felt like a liability. Suddenly, the night erupts. A series of green flares arcs over the trees, casting the landscape in a sickly, alien glow. The whispers become a roar, a guttural, unified cry of banzai. Hundreds of Japanese soldiers burst from the tree line, a wave of bayonets glinting under the flares. They charge across the sandbar, separating them from the Marine positions. They expect to face men fumbling with rifle bolts, men who could fire, at best, 15 aimed shots a minute. Their own Type 38 Arisaka rifle is a tool of precision and patience, a single sharp crack, a deliberate pull of the bolt, a quiet chambering of the next round. It is the weapon of a silent hunter. Billy Evans raises his M1. He doesn't need to break his sight picture. He squeezes the trigger. The rifle bucks against his shoulder. The operating rod slams back and forth, and an empty brass casing ejects into the humid air. He squeezes again and again, a third, fourth, fifth time. He walks his fire across the charging line, each semi-automatic shot a deafening bark. He is putting down a volume of fire the Japanese have never encountered from an infantry rifle. To the charging soldiers, it sounds like a machine gun has opened up from his foxhole. His 8th shot finds its mark, and then a sound rings out, sharp and distinct, cutting through the din of the firefight. Ping! The sound of the Garand's en-bloc clip, its duty done, automatically ejecting from the rifle. To a Japanese soldier 20 yards away, his ears ringing from the concussive blasts, that high-pitched metallic note is an unmistakable signal. It is the sound of an empty weapon. He has heard his NCOs mock it in training the foolish American rifle that tells you when it cannot fire. He sees the American Marine momentarily lower his weapon, reaching for his cartridge belt. This is the moment. The soldier lowers his head, grips his Arisaka with its 15-inch bayonet, and sprints toward the foxhole. He is certain he is charging a defenseless man. The charging Japanese soldier has 3 seconds. In his mind, honed by the doctrine of Bushido and the supremacy of the bayonet, those 3 seconds are an eternity. He has closed half the distance. He can see the sweat on the Marine's face, the desperate grab for ammunition. This is the weakness of the West, their reliance on complex machines, machines that fail, machines that run empty. His Arisaka is an extension of his will. The Marine's rifle is just a tool. But Billy Evans isn't fumbling. His left hand is already on his cartridge belt, fingers closing around the familiar shape of a full N-block clip. His training, drilled into him until it was muscle memory at Paris Island, takes over. It's a fluid, violent motion they called the Garand reload. As the empty clip sails through the air, his right hand brings the rifle slightly down, his thumb finding the operating rod catch. His left hand slams the new clip into the open receiver. There is no delicate placement. He pushes down hard until he feels the positive latch. His thumb smartly clears the receiver, just as the bolt, released from its lock, slams forward on its own, stripping the top round and chambering it with a deafening clack. The entire process takes less than 2 seconds. The Japanese soldier is now just 10 yards away, his victory cry dying in his throat. The defenseless man he was charging has vanished. In his place is a Marine with a fully loaded 8-round semi-automatic battle rifle already shouldered and aimed at his chest. The soldier's brain cannot process the speed of the transformation. He expected to meet a man fumbling with loose cartridges or a stripper clip, a task that would take 5, maybe 7 seconds. He has been fatally misinformed. The M1 barks once more. The 150-grain 30-06 projectile hits the soldier high in the chest, its energy lifting him off his feet and throwing him backward onto the bloody sand. And Billy's experience is not unique. All along the Marine line, the same brutal lesson is being taught. The initial charge, so terrifying in its ferocity, smashes against a wall of lead. The Japanese doctrine of precise single shots is being answered by an American doctrine of overwhelming firepower. What the Japanese commanders had dismissed as noise was, in fact, the sound of a revolution in infantry combat. A single Marine with a Garand could put more aimed rounds downrange than 3 Japanese soldiers with their Arisakas. A platoon of Marines could create a beaten zone, an area so saturated with bullets that movement through it was suicide. The ping, which the Japanese had identified as a tactical flaw, was turning into a psychological nightmare. It wasn't the sound of one man reloading. It was the sound of a brief lull in a firestorm, a pause often covered by the Marine next to him who was still firing. The sound became a taunt. It was the sound of American industry, of a weapon designed not for the patient stalk of a hunter, but for the brutal, efficient calculus of modern war. By the time the sun rose over the Tenaru, Colonel Ichiki's proud regiment was virtually annihilated. The survivors who staggered back into the jungle carried with them a new, terrifying understanding. That high-pitched ping wasn't an invitation. It was a death rattle. October 9, 1942, west of the Matanikau River, Guadalcanal. The jungle canopy is a suffocating green ceiling, trapping the heat and the flies. Sergeant Frank "Gunny" Petricelli of the 7th Marines spits a stream of tobacco juice near his boot. For weeks, his platoon has been engaged in a lethal game of cat and mouse in the ravines and ridges around the Matanikau. The grand charges of the Tenaru are gone, replaced by something far more intimate and terrifying: the squad-level ambush. The Japanese have learned. They are no longer a wave of bodies charging into a wall of fire. They are shadows, listening. Sergeant Petricelli knows what they're listening for. He'd seen it happen to a green replacement just last week, a kid who emptied his clip and was met with a storm of grenades, and a Nambu machine gun burst the second his M1 went ping. The enemy had been waiting, counting his shots. Now, Petricelli is teaching a new kind of fire discipline. "You hear me," He rasps to two privates, their faces pale beneath layers of grime and sweat. You don't fire 8 rounds, ever. Not unless you're staring the Emperor himself in the face. You fire 3, maybe 4. Then you move. You let Miller's fire team open up. You make him think he's the one running dry. The M1 Garand, the instrument of their dominance, now carries a deadly new variable. Its signature sound has been turned against them. Japanese squads, patient and hidden in camouflaged spider holes, would let a Marine patrol pass. They would wait for the inevitable firefight to begin, and then they would listen to the rhythm of the battle. The crack of the Arisaka was sharp and singular. The bark of the Garand was a deep, semi-automatic staccato, and they would count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, ping. That sound became a dinner bell for a counterattack. A Japanese soldier, knowing he had a few precious seconds, would rise from the jungle floor to hurl a grenade or charge with a bayonet, aiming for the specific foxhole where the sound originated. But the Marines were learning faster. They began to turn the enemy's new tactic into a trap. Petrocelli's squad moves forward, hugging the giant roots of banyan trees. Up ahead, a Japanese machine gun nest, cleverly concealed, opens up, pinning them down. Dirt and leaves spray into the air. Petrocelli signals to a Marine named Diaz. "Make 'em thirsty, Diaz." Diaz understands. He lays down, firing 5 quick rounds from his Garand into the dense foliage around the nest, deliberately making his position known. Then he stops. Beside him, another Marine takes an empty en-bloc clip from his pocket. He holds it up and, with a flick of his thumb, drops it onto a rock. Ping. The sound echoes through the humid air, crisp and clear. From their hidden position, the Japanese gun crew hears exactly what they've been trained to listen for. The American is empty. This is their chance to move, to reposition. The gunner and his assistant begin to shift the heavy Type 92 machine gun to a new firing lane. It's the last mistake they will ever make. The moment they expose themselves, Petrocelli and 3 other Marines, who had been holding their fire from a flanking position, open up. Their Garands speak in a unified, overlapping roar. The semi-automatic fire rips through the nest, a torrent of .30-06 rounds that cuts the Japanese crew down before they can even register the deception. The jungle falls silent again. The only sound, the metallic clack-clack of 4 operating rods cycling in unison. The ping was no longer just a sound. It was bait. September 15, 1944. The Umurbrogel Pocket, Palaliu. The world has become a jagged hellscape of razor-sharp coral and limestone caves. This isn't the fetid jungle of Guadalcanal. This is a fortress built by nature and perfected by the Japanese. Private First Class Jimmy O'Connell, barely 19, lies pressed against the white rock, the sun beating down on his helmet with the intensity of a blacksmith's hammer. His squad, part of the 1st Marine Division, is trying to root out Japanese defenders from a warren of interconnected caves honeycombing the ridge they call Bloody Nose. Corporal Petrocelli, the squad leader who survived the Matanikau, is beside him. His face is a leathery mask, his eyes narrowed slits that have seen too much. He sees the tremor in O'Connell's hands as the kid clutches his Garand. "Listen up, O'Connell." Petrocelli's voice is a low, gravelly growl, barely audible over the sporadic crackle of enemy fire. He taps the kid's rifle. "Forget half the garbage they taught you stateside about fire superiority. Out here, we practice fire psychology. Your 8 rounds? That's not your weapon. Your brain is your weapon. Those 8 rounds are just the bullets. A Japanese machine gun opens up from a dark maw in the cliff face, spitting tracers that sizzle overhead. The Marines hug the ground, coral shards digging into their arms. "All right, Diaz, you and Miller, talk to him," Petrocelli yells. Two Marines on their left flank begin firing. They don't empty their clips. They fire in controlled 3-round bursts. Bark, bark, bark. A pause. Then again, it's a conversation. They are establishing a rhythm, drawing the enemy's attention. "O'Connell, you see that?" Petrocelli points with his chin. "They're listening. They're counting. They're waiting for the ping." He pulls a spent clip from his own belt and holds it up. "This little piece of tin is the most important liar you've got." He gives a hand signal. Diaz fires his 6th round, and then goes silent, ducking down as if to reload. On the other side of the line, a Marine throws his empty clip against a rock. The ping rings out, a clear, deliberate note in the symphony of combat. Immediately, the Japanese machine gun swivels toward the sound, and 2 enemy soldiers, emboldened by the signal, pop their heads up to lob grenades. "Now!" Petrocelli roars. He, O'Connell, and the rest of the squad, who had been silent and waiting, unleash hell. A volley of M1 fire, perfectly timed and overwhelming, converges on the cave opening. It's not a scattered firefight, it's a coordinated execution. The Japanese soldiers are slammed back into the darkness. The trap, once a desperate improvisation on Guadalcanal, has been perfected into a deadly, standard procedure. It was called the rolling reload, a squad-level ballet of fire and deception. No one reloaded at the same time. The ping was now a tool used to misdirect, to expose, and to kill. The psychological toll on the Japanese defenders was immense. The one predictable weakness of the American rifle was no longer predictable. Hesitation became fatal. Was that ping real? Or was it an invitation to an ambush? Charging was suicide. Staying put was suicide. The sound that once offered a sliver of hope now only amplified their paranoia, trapping them in their caves as the relentless 8-round rhythm of the Garand chewed away at their defenses. Thank you for watching.